back inside, and I don't even know if that kind of music can alert you to who is coming up next. But Rockers, give them a little bit more of it. Let's see if they can see who.
You just like wildness. You just like wildness. Watch now.
Rockers here just like wildness. But let us welcome to the program the Honorable Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hinds. Good morning to you, Minister.
A very good morning to you, Natalie, and Rokas and your other support staff and all of your viewers and listeners. A good morning to you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, Minister, today is the official opening of the safe zones across Trinidad and Tobago, which means for those organizations that are fully vaccinated, that are indoors and have that kind of, close-knitted arrangement, that they're able to open once fully vaccinated. So we just wanted to talk a little bit about that, hear the government's plan, how this is going to go, and just, what the reception has been like, to the initiative.
Well, actually, it has started. It got into effect from midnight of last night, and it is now in full effect in accordance with the regulations. What you see here, and I'm quite happy at the response, if I may take it from that end. Of course, you would have heard a few expressions of the anticipation of some groups. The business community has generally welcomed it, and the opposition, the political opposition, is swearing by their names that it will not work. But we are far more sanguine and far more optimistic than that. What you see playing out here is from the very start of this COVID crisis, the world, including Trinidad and Tobago, recognized that it was a struggle between lives and livelihoods, because this COVID-19 took lives. About 4 million people of the world, 5 million people of the world have died as a consequence of it, and it really wreaked havoc on the economies of the world. It shut down economies of the world, shut down sectors of economies all over the world. So it has always been this battle, this struggle, this balance between lives and livelihood. And that you see here with the safe zone concept is another element of that struggle. It is the phase we are in now where we are trying to give business some projection and some precedence over the virus in the context of us being vaccinated, and in the context of our understanding better the coronavirus issue as opposed to March and April of 2020 when it was new to us. We are at the point now with a vaccine available to every single eligible citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, meaning from 12 years onwards. We are at the point now where everyone can be safely vaccinated and enjoy the protection of the vaccination,
right,
to the extent that it occurs. So we are saying here, in this safe zone context, that the in-house dining without alcohol that we would normally have had, you can now return to that once, as you have just reminded us, you are fully vaccinated, and that includes employees, and that includes patrons, and on certain other conditions. And I think it is a very forward step. I looked yesterday at Canada's Prime Minister telling Canada that if you are not fully vaccinated, you won't travel on the train, you won't travel on a plane, you won't travel in
I actually saw that too. But, Minister, I think one of the issues people wanted clarification on is the idea of the public health officers who are unvaccinated coming to do checks. What's the government's perspective or stance on that regarding the public health officers?
To me, quite frankly, that is just another, that's a marginal issue as far as I'm concerned. What we are dealing with here as a matter of government policy is the context of the safe zone to allow elements of the economy to roll again in the face of the challenges of the virus. So when an individual raises the question, what happens with a public health officer or a policeman who is not vaccinated, to me that is peripheral to the issue. The employers of those persons will treat with that on the basis basis of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago and the policies implemented in accordance with those laws. So I suspect that the police, I suspect that the health authorities, dealing with their own internal policies in respect of vaccination and safety, will treat with those issues. I can't tell you exactly what in each case that would be, but the real issue here is the concept of the safe zone and the fact that there are going to be authorities, including public health officers and police officers, who will be there to implement and supervise the law. If in an individual case it turns out that proposition comes real, that will be dealt with. I mean, it's just, I think it's a side note.
Okay, well. Let us see if we can move past the side note.
It's the workings of the human intellect, where we look for trouble where none ought to exist.
Right. Let us move past the side note. So you're saying that should not be a problem, but we're seeing some businesses are saying that, the logistics of it is, some businesses might not be able to be on board, not be able to start today. And of course, you might have one and two who are actually going to be rolling out the safe zones today. And I think the issue comes down to those who are unvaccinated. So I know that the Ministry of Health has to continue its drive to get people vaccinated. I saw you in your constituency getting people out. I saw the Prime Minister in his constituency. I saw the Minister of Health do it the other day. So hoping that we'll see other ministers, taking up the mantle and getting people out to get vaccinated, because one of the points people make is that if you all can mobilize for election, you can mobilize for vaccination.
Yes, I agree with your implied suggestion, and you are quite right. What happened there is that the Honorable Prime Minister, accepting that the Ministry of Health has been doing a wonderful job nationally in terms of making 109 health centers, vaccine centers, and many other places, broaden the classes of persons who can apply the vaccines, making vaccines available to everyone, notwithstanding all the campaigning, all the advertisements, notwithstanding all of that. The Prime Minister told every one of his members of Parliament, 22 of us, listen here, we want you to do something specifically for the benefit of your constituents with love in that regard. So you would have seen the Prime Minister, you would have seen me on several occasions inside of there, and I give you the assurance, all my other colleagues have been doing that as well.
Right.
So it may not have been featured in the media, but that is our mandate from our Prime Minister, and we've done that. Again, the political opposition split, because there are some of them who support. I've heard some of them speak publicly about the need for the vaccine, and I know the leader of the opposition, although she had the vaccine and the one from Oropuch East had the vaccine, I've still seen them and heard them making comments that are suggesting to people that they shouldn't have it. So that kind of dichotomy and conundrum is a matter for them. It is why they collapsed on Saturday in the Parliament, but that's another matter. We are headed in the direction.
Well, you know me, I'm a journalist. I wouldn't mind if you want to speak about that, but that's aside.
That was just an
Well, I was happy to jump on that wagon, Minister.
Yes,
but that aside,
the characteristic looms large all of the time. It was just another example of same.
Yeah. Minister, I think like for businesses is that a lot of businesses have been complaining about the amount of monies that they've lost with all the shutdowns that we've had to implement to control the virus. And I think there's a genuine fear out there that businesses will be flouting the safe zones in, the interest of profits. So what I want to know is, how are we going to monitor to ensure that we don't have these situations? How are we going to ensure that we monitor not only just on a once-a-month basis, but that we frequent these organizations or businesses to ensure that money isn't, topping the interest of health?
You have just raised for me in this interview a matter of concern for me. In general terms, what you've just asked is, how do we bring the public health authorities and the police service completely alive to enforcing this very important law, to ensure that there is full compliance with it. that is not going to be a weekend activity. That has to be a 24, well, when I say that is an ongoing activity, that directly, in my view, touches the question of productivity, and it touches the issue of focus and motivation and doing the job. Like all other laws, like all other businesses and activities governed by rules and regulations, enforcement is where it's at. And the people who enjoy the most success are the ones who enforce the laws a little more, because, as Sir Ellis told us, human beings are not getting better. They will challenge things. They will seek to benefit at an individual level at the expense of all of us. And that is where the laws of Trinidad and Tobago and the enforcers must play a role. So our leaders in public health, and like yours truly with responsibility for national security, and the acting commissioner of police, and the chief of defense staff, and all the leaders, it is our responsibility, it is our job to inspire, to look after the welfare of the men and women in our charge, so that they will be inspired and motivated. They will understand the laws that they have to apply, and they will go out there dutifully and enforce them in the public interest.
Right. So then do we have those people on the ground starting from today to start doing those checks and balances?
There are police officers on duty as you and I speak 24 hours a day, and that's now part of their legal responsibility, from station to station, from officer to officer. I mean, and of course, public health officers as well. So it is just about coming alive and doing the business and understanding the critical nature of it as we seek to get the economy rolling. You hear some complaining about unemployment. You hear some complaining about how their businesses were devastated. You've heard how they've lost profit and all the challenges. None of them to be argued against. All to be agreed, because as I said at the top of our conversations, COVID-19 imposed itself on us, and it devastated economies. It did things to the world. Trinidad and Tobago is no different. We didn't plan it. It's not about malice. It's a fact, a phenomenon we have to deal with. And this is Trinidad and Tobago responding to it in that struggle between lives and livelihoods.
Minister, what if this doesn't work? Because we're seeing, as I said, that even though Trinidad and Tobago is about 35% fully vaccinated, what if
40, I would say about 45 at this juncture.
45% fully vaccinated. Thank you for the correction. What if this doesn't work? Because you're talking about 55% is still unvaccinated amongst those who can be vaccinated. And the thing is that you don't know how that 45% is shared up in terms of who is going to be falling into what businesses or what category. You know, so what if this doesn't work? What is the next step of the government?
Well, the government has been as fluid as you could get it. We have always been informed by the science. We've been informed by world, regional trends, and the particular demands of our own society. So we keep an eye on all of these elements, and this is our effort. We pray that it works. We're confident that it will work. But if in advance of your proposition it doesn't, then TNT doesn't simply mean Trinidad and Tobago, Natalie. It means try new things. So you think and you try something else, but you got to keep on moving. The thing is fluid. It's a moving target, and you get the job done. I mean, we have had a number of changes in the regulation since it started in March of 2020. And now we are at the point where we can continue with these changes. So I pray that it works, and I'm confident. You played a reggae song as we started this program, and as you asked me about that, I remembered Bob Marley now, who has a song called Work. We can make it work. And Stalin says, we can make it if we try.
Right.
So I am very, very sanguine and optimistic, and I'm looking forward to the future. I pray that it does work. I'm confident. For those who are serious, it can work. We make it work, and we press on.
Minister, you said something there that triggered a question in my head about, you know, businesses being allowed to operate outside of curfew hours. Did I get that correctly?
No, I think you got that. I don't recall touching that, but I know that for the moment, we have the curfew from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m., and that stands
Okay.
for
All
the
right.
moment.
All right. Well, Minister, we have to leave it there, but hopefully you can come in studio one of these days and sit and chat with us. So thank you so much for taking some time to explain this issue this morning.
I would be very happy to do that, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to have brought some clarification to this. Good luck and all the very best, and I wish success to the business houses out there who will take this opportunity to get their doors open and generate some income to resolve some of the challenges they've had for the last year, 3/4. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Minister of National Security there, the Honorable Fitzgerald Hinds, talking to us about the safe zones. And he's saying, you know, TNT doesn't just mean Trinidad and Tobago, you know, it means try new things. So if this doesn't work, the government has been very fluid, and if it has to go back to the drawing board, it will do so. All right, so we take a break and we'll be back with you.